Welcome to the Moments with an MEO podcast. Our mission is to empower and inspire military spouse entrepreneurs to dream big and chase their goals through educational resources and storytelling. I'm Britt. I'm an Air Force wife, a dog mom, and a business coach. My business bestie and I created MEO to describe the unique individuals who are juggling military life and entrepreneurship at the same time. In season 3, you'll hear me ask every single guest what they're learning right now to inspire you to keep learning and keep growing, no matter where you are in your journey. You're gonna hear inspirational stories of heartbreak and triumph, and you're going to be inspired. And I can't wait.
Hey friends, this is Catherine and I own and operate Love Catherine Noel. We specialize in custom stickers and accessories for the military and first responder community. And I'm so excited to have partnered with Britt to bring you all t-shirts for season 3 of Moments with an MEO. So these will be available for a limited time only from October 15th to October 31st for pre-order. And they're set to ship around the end of November. So head on over to lovekatherinenoel.com and you can find the shirts under the Moments with an MEO podcast tab. And I hope that you love these just as much as Britt and I do.
All right. Well, welcome, Jen, to the podcast. I'm so excited to be starting season 3 out with such a strong, powerful voice. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk about all things entrepreneurship.
You know, when I saw your profile for the first time, I was like, this is my person. This is the kind of person that I want to surround myself with because you have such a strong and influential platform of just supporting women and supporting military spouse entrepreneurship. And it's incredible. And I'm so excited to talk about that. But let's just start with a brief introduction of who you are for our listeners.
Okay, so my name's Jen. I'm a small town girl. Actually, I grew up in the middle of nowhere, Montana, a little town called Laurel, Montana. That's about 8 hours from anything exciting. So we made a lot of our own fun playing sports and doing outdoors things. And my number one goal back as a kiddo was to get out of Montana. So I worked really hard in school so that I could get a scholarship, knowing that my parents didn't have any money to send me to college. And the United States Air Force Academy became the school of choice. That was the one that I could get for free. So that really started my military career and all the good things that, in life from that point forward. And I spent about 6 years active duty in the Air Force as an aircraft maintenance officer, and then followed on with another 14 years of reserve service and just retired last year. But peppered throughout there, entrepreneurship has been the thing that has lit up my life for a variety of reasons. But it's been sort of the theme of my adult life. So now I have 2 kids, an amazing husband, which to deal with all of my, adventures over life. He's pretty awesome. And we live in Washington, D.C. and love it here.
That's awesome. What made you choose military? Was it just free school or was there something else behind that?
I think thankfully it was free school that drew me in because I really needed the education to be paid for. But I think there was something inside me I didn't even realize that really resonated with the service piece of it. My family comes from the kind of family that's always out there to be serving others, whether it was mowing the lawn at church or volunteering for a variety of different things as kids. We were always involved in something. So that felt like home to me and still will continue to for the rest of my life. So I think it was a little of both, but definitely it was the free education that drew me in and then the service that kept me going.
That's awesome. So I'm curious then, what is your love story? How did you and your spouse meet?
Well, my spouse and I, his name is Kevin. He's now an 06 in the Air Force and does a great job. He was a C-17 pilot. But our love story started when we were both cadets at the Air Force Academy. And in your freshman year, for those that don't know, your freshman year at the Air Force Academy, or really any military academy, you're not really free to roam as other freshman college students are. You're marching to your dinner or your lunch, and you can't really talk freely, or you get yelled at by your upperclassmen. So this was the summer after we had finished our hard freshman year. We were finally free to walk around and talk to each other like normal human beings. And we both were in a soaring program where we flew glider planes that summer. And since we couldn't really talk our freshman year, I know that sounds so silly, but you didn't make that many friends. And so he was an acquaintance of a friend of mine, the only friendly face I knew in this soaring program. And so we started got in this healthy competition about who could solo their glider plane first. And he slept in the morning that I soloed, so I did it first technically, but he likes to say that he did it in less rides. Once he came down to the airfield and got, yelled at for being late, he did it in less rides. So we still, sort of debate on that today, but that's what hit it off. And then we dated for 5 years before we got married after starting our careers.
Wow. Okay. I have to know, listeners, help us settle this debate. Okay. Who did it first? We'll see what the listeners say. I'm on Jen's side, but I think I have a biased opinion anyway. So our listeners will help. So how did you go from active duty to reservist to entrepreneur advocate? That seems like it might seem like totally different ponds. How was that for you?
It's funny because now that I look back, the pieces all fit together perfectly, to the story, but it was a lot of bumpy roads along the way. So I was, like I said, an aircraft maintenance officer, and I was in a 24/7 kind of career field. So airplanes break, tools get lost, people need to take a plane to, to some sort of combat situation on a moment's notice. So your maintenance team is working around the clock. And so, and also that was a very male dominated career field. So I was a fish out of water in that sense. I didn't know the first thing about airplanes. A lot of my counterparts did. So I had to learn really fast. I had to, really prove myself. And I devoted every hour to my work for those, first 6 years. So once we decided we wanted to have kids, I knew that was not a job that a regular mom can just do with a pilot husband who wasn't home a lot. So that really forced us into a position to say, okay, who's going to take the lead? He had a longer commitment than I did as a pilot. So I said, okay, I'll try staying at home with kids. I'd seen all these military spouses around me do this, and they made it look like a wonderful experience. And then when I actually went to go do it, coming from this hard charging career field where I was proving myself and making a name for myself and, kind of in uncharted waters for women, coming home to change diapers was really hard for me. Like, to stop all that activity and just focus on a baby. As much as I love my son, it rocked my world. And now I look back and I think I probably had a little bit of postpartum depression. It probably was on the verge of something like that. But I really struggled with that transition. Just sitting in a chair, breastfeeding all day long, I just felt like I was wilting away. So then I did what all moms do, have another baby. So 2 years later, I had my daughter, who's now 13, my son is 15. And I just remember thinking to myself, I cannot do this again. I cannot sit in this chair and stare at the ceiling, breastfeeding for hours upon hours again, and let myself go into that mind place. So that's when I had the brilliant idea of, I'm going to get a job. And I started looking, just like every good military spouse does, at what part-time jobs are available. I had a master's degree, and I had been managing 250 troops at any given moment, for combat operations. And I thought, surely there's a job out there for me that would pay the 6 figures that I think I'm worth. And unfortunately, there wasn't even anything remotely close for part-time hours. So I was not willing to do what a lot of military spouses are forced to do, which is to work for way less than they're qualified for. We have a massive underemployment problem in the military spouse world. I wasn't willing to do that. So I said, okay, let's try a different route. My parents were entrepreneurs. My bedroom was right next to the office that they had in our basement, and I saw them working hard every single day of my life. And I thought, you know what? If they could do it, I have skills, I have a brain, I can figure this out. I have something I can contribute, to create a business. And so at that time, HGTV was really popular, and home staging for real estate was a brand new thing. I love to decorate. I love to, at the time we were moving a lot, so I would love to take one household, and fit it into the next house without having to buy too much, but make it look beautiful. I thought, I got this. I can turn this into a business. So I did. And for 4 years, we grew this tiny business, and I had both my kids in tow because I couldn't afford a babysitter. At night, I would bring them to staging jobs with me, and there would be plants all around them in the car. I have this vision of them in their little car seats with just like greenery all around them. And we would decorate these homes, and it was so wonderful. It was hard work, but it was so fulfilling. It lit me back up, even though I was practically single momming and trying to start up this business at the same time. It was amazing. And for 4 years, I grew it and eventually sold it. And it just proved to me that entrepreneurship is the answer.
I love that. You mentioned earlier this concept or this thing that you've created, but you just kind of threw it out there. So do you want to talk about Boss Lady Bio?
Yeah. So in this quest to help women get started, the first thing that we've deduced most women feel like makes their business feel official is to get it up on as a website, right? So that people can actually search around, find you, and actually see what you do. And when we were building websites, which we do at Mission Entrepreneur, we would hand over this massive website. And it's a decent project to be able to put everything you want to offer in your business, all of your branding, and sort of the way you want to relay yourself to the world through a website. It's a lot of work. So we get to the end of the finish line of building your website. It looks beautiful. You feel proud of what you've got. We click publish, and now we give it back to the customer. Now the customer, the new business owner, gets to manage their own website and keep up with it. And we were finding that like less than 60% of people were not changing their website ever again. We would hand them this thing, even though things were happening in their business that were changing in this ever-changing world we live in, they weren't actually keeping up their website to match what they were doing in their business. And so what it is it's basically a mini website. It's a URL that you can search out on the web. And it gives you not only a place to brand yourself, but it's very easy and it's easily changed. But you get video capability with an intro clip. You get unlimited links to share to all the facets of your life, whether you're a business owner, a nonprofit supporter, a military supporter of an organization. There's a whole bunch of different things you can share there. And then you can give your contact information, some testimonials of people that have been working with you, and then you can connect to other women, which is a huge passion of mine. Because when we see one woman put her content out into the world or her business out into the world, that inspires somebody else. So there's a way at the bottom of your bio to connect with other women as well. So it's basically just this small, nimble mini website that you can use on all your social media platforms. We really designed it for Instagram, but you can use it on LinkedIn, you can use it on Facebook, you can use it on TikTok or Twitter. And it basically just puts everything that you stand for in one little URL.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jen. I really appreciate you jumping on the podcast today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. This was fun.
Hey guys, did you love today's episode? Me too. Every single episode is jam-packed with value, with inspiration, encouragement, and advice as you take on your own business journey. Here's the catch. On YouTube, I only post about 10 to 15 minutes of an episode, but most episodes are between 30 and 40 minutes long, which means you have a lot more content to listen to. So go head over to your favorite listening platform. We love Spotify, but Apple Podcasts or any of the other 25 podcast listening platforms all have Moments with an MEO. So go give it a listen, and don't forget to subscribe and to review it if that platform offers it. All right, guys, see you next week.